Let's dive into a pretty stark vision of our future, one where rising seas completely redraw the map. We're talking about something called the climate exodus, a time when millions of people could be forced to find new homes. So let's get right into it.
You know, it sounds like something straight out of science fiction, doesn't it? A water world? But this question is really the dramatic heart of what we're looking at. Is this just a movie plot, or is it a future we seriously need to consider?
Okay, so first things first, the timeline. Because this isn't some abstract problem for our great-great-grandchildren. The data suggests there are some very real deadlines. And you know what? They're coming up a lot faster than you might think.
First up on the clock, 2050. I mean, that's just a couple of decades from now. By that point, we're looking at projections where hundreds of millions of people living in coastal areas will be directly threatened by rising seas.
And if we fast forward to the end of the century, 2100, well, the threat gets a whole lot more intense. We're not just talking about occasional flooding anymore. We're talking about the very real possibility of major global cities becoming fundamentally uninhabitable.
And a quote like this, wow, it just hits you, right? It takes all those huge abstract numbers and brings them right down to a single front door. It's that terrifying moment when a distant headline becomes your immediate reality.
Which, of course, brings us to the exodus itself. I mean, just try to imagine the logistics. If millions, even hundreds of millions of people have to pack up and leave, how on earth does that even work? The sheer scale is it's mind-boggling.
And look, this isn't just a problem for a few remote islands. We're talking about global economic and cultural centers, iconic places that you know. Miami, Shanghai, Venice, they're all on the front lines, facing a future where mass evacuation isn't just a possibility, but a potential necessity.
And an exodus isn't a simple, orderly process. It's more like a cascade of failures, a real domino effect. First, the escape routes, the roads, the railways, they get flooded and cut off. Then, the power goes out. And finally, with communication networks down, you're left in the dark, literally and figuratively. And that's when the humanitarian crisis really kicks in. This is the crucial part. It's not just about getting people out. It's about what happens the moment they're displaced. They need the absolute basics: shelter, clean water, food, medical help. Now multiply that need by millions of people all at once. It's an unimaginable challenge.
But okay, what happens after the initial chaos? What are the long-term ripple effects of a world that's been, well, permanently reshaped by water? The consequences go way beyond the floodlines.
This really lays out the two potential paths, doesn't it? Pushing millions of people into smaller, inland areas could put an immense strain on everything. You're looking at a future that could be defined by increased conflict over what's left: land, water, resources. The stakes are incredibly high.
And the price tag on all this? I mean, it's almost impossible to wrap your head around. It's not just the cost of damaged property. Think about relocating entire industries, rebuilding global infrastructure, and dealing with the shock to the world's economy. We are talking about a multi-trillion-dollar problem.
But you know, maybe the biggest cost, the one you can't put a number on, is the cultural loss. We're talking about cities with centuries of history, art, and identity just disappearing. That's a piece of our shared human story that, once it's gone, you can never get back.
All right, I know, that was all pretty heavy, but the story absolutely does not end in despair. This is where we pivot. This is where human creativity and our instinct to survive could really kick in. Let's look at some truly revolutionary ideas for how we might adapt.
So think about it. If we're running out of horizontal space, where do we go? Well, maybe we go up, way up. This idea of vertical cities, these massive, self-sufficient structures, could house huge numbers of people, completely changing what a city even looks like.
Or here's another thought. What if we embrace the water instead of running from it? This concept of building vast, sustainable floating communities is a radical shift in thinking. It turns the ocean from a threat into a brand new frontier for civilization.
Now, these ideas are incredible for sure, but let's be realistic for a second. They're not simple fixes. Whether we build up or float, the challenges are massive. How do you integrate millions of people into new climate havens? How do you guarantee resources like fresh water and farmland? How do you power this new world? These are massive questions.
And all of this leads to maybe the most important takeaway from our whole discussion. Is this grim future just gonna happen? Is it inevitable? The resounding answer is no. This future is not set in stone. We still have a choice.
And the good news is, there's real work being done right now to prevent that worst-case scenario. We're seeing everything from incredible new technologies and major global agreements to individual communities taking steps today to become more resilient. There is genuine reason for hope.
So we end here with this one big question for you to think about. Is the climate exodus a prophecy that we're destined to live out, or is it a dire warning? A warning that we still have time to heed? Ultimately, the path we take is still up to us.